The Price of Becoming Successful. A motivational guide to achieving your dreams without sacrificing your purpose, well-being, or identity. By T.M. Light. Description. This motivational journey explores the true cost of ambition, revealing the sacrifices, challenges, and choices behind every achievement. It dives into how success changes relationships, tests personal values, and demands discipline, resilience, and self-awareness. Readers will discover how to pursue greatness without losing themselves, set healthy boundaries, and protect their well-being while chasing their dreams. Packed with insights on maintaining integrity, managing expectations, and designing a version of success you can truly live with, this storyline inspires conscious decision-making and empowers anyone striving to achieve meaningful, lasting success in life and career. Chapter Outline. Introduction. The Bill Nobody Talks About. Chapter 1. The Cost of Comfort. Chapter 2. Time is the first currency you pay. Chapter 3. Sacrificing social approval. Chapter 4. The emotional toll of ambition. Chapter 5. Failure is not optional. Chapter 6. Discipline over motivation. Chapter 7. The financial risk. Chapter 8. Identity shifts and inner conflict. Chapter 9. Success changes how you're treated. Chapter 10. Paying the price without losing yourself. Conclusion. Is the price worth it? Introduction. The Bill Nobody Talks About. Success is one of the most desired destinations in the modern world, yet it remains one of the least honestly discussed journeys. We see the highlights everywhere: luxury, freedom, applause, recognition, financial comfort, influence. We scroll past images of people who appear to have made it, and we are quietly invited to believe that success is not only glamorous, but inevitable if we simply want it badly enough. What we are rarely shown, however, is the bill that arrives before the reward. Not the celebration, but the cost. Not the outcome, but the sacrifice. This book exists to talk about that bill, the one nobody advertises, the one few warn you about, and the one you must be willing to pay if success is truly what you want. We live in a culture obsessed with results. We celebrate arrivals, not departures. We praise the finish line, not the miles walked alone to reach it. Because of this, success is often framed as a moment rather than a process, as a reward rather than a responsibility. People are applauded for where they stand, but almost never questioned about what they endured to get there. This selective storytelling creates a dangerous illusion that success is smooth, painless, and somehow kinder to those who deserve it most. The truth is far less comfortable. Success is demanding. It is inconvenient. It asks for more than enthusiasm, it demands endurance. The phrase, overnight success, has done immeasurable damage to how people perceive achievement. It suggests speed without struggle, reward without resistance, and recognition without years of unseen work. But when you look closer at almost any so-called overnight success, you discover a long stretch of nights that were anything but glamorous. Years of effort that went unnoticed. Seasons of doubt where quitting felt logical. Moments when progress was invisible, and belief had to survive without evidence. What looks sudden from the outside is usually the result of patience, persistence, and pain that were never publicly documented. The overnight success narrative skips the failures, the false starts, the exhaustion, and the quiet perseverance that actually made the outcome possible. One of the reasons success stories are so often incomplete is that discomfort doesn't sell well. Sacrifice doesn't fit neatly into inspirational soundbites. Loneliness, uncertainty, fear, and loss are not attractive marketing tools. So they are edited out. What remains is a polished version of reality that inspires desire, but not preparedness. Many people chase success without understanding what it will require from them, and when the cost finally becomes clear, they feel betrayed, not by the process but by the stories they were told. They expected fulfillment and found fatigue. They expected confidence and encountered doubt. They expected freedom and discovered responsibility. Not because success lied to them, but because no one told them the full truth. To speak honestly about success, we must first define it clearly. Success is not a single thing, and it does not mean the same thing to everyone. For some, success is financial security, the ability to live without constant stress about money. For others, it is impact, the chance to change lives, influence thinking, or leave something meaningful behind. For many, success is freedom, control over time, choices, and direction. And for some, success is fulfillment, the quiet satisfaction of knowing that what you do aligns with who you are. These definitions often overlap, but they are not identical. Confusion begins when people chase someone else's version of success without realizing it. The price you pay depends heavily on what you are trying to achieve. Money, for example, often demands risk, delayed gratification, and periods of instability. Impact may require vulnerability, criticism, and the courage to stand alone. Freedom often comes after years of discipline, structure, and saying no to immediate pleasure. Fulfillment may require confronting uncomfortable truths about yourself and letting go of identities that no longer serve you. None of these paths are free. Each carries its own cost, and none can be achieved without giving something up. The tragedy is not in paying the price but in paying it blindly, without understanding what you are exchanging and why. Understanding the price of success up front does not discourage ambition, it strengthens it. When you know what will be required, you can choose consciously instead of emotionally. You can prepare instead of panic. You can endure without resentment, because you understand that the discomfort is not a sign of failure but part of the agreement. Regret often comes not from trying and failing, but from trying without clarity. From sacrificing things you didn't intend to sacrifice. From reaching goals that no longer feel worth what they cost. Awareness does not make the journey easier, but it makes it honest. This book is not here to romanticize struggle, nor is it here to scare you away from success. It is here to ground you. To tell you that ambition is powerful, but incomplete without realism. That wanting more from life is noble, but only if you are willing to become more in the process. Success will test your patience before it rewards your effort. It will challenge your identity before it validates your choices. It will ask you to grow long before it allows you to arrive. These tests are not obstacles, they are the price of admission. As you move forward through these pages, you are not being asked to commit to suffering. You are being asked to commit to honesty. To stop asking only what success can give you, and start asking what it will require from you. To examine what you are willing to trade, what you are not, and where your true priorities lie. The goal is not to chase success blindly, but to pursue it intentionally, with eyes open and expectations grounded. The journey ahead will not promise ease, but it will offer clarity. It will not guarantee outcomes, but it will provide understanding. By the time you reach the end of this book, success will no longer feel like a mystery or a fantasy. It will feel like a decision, one that comes with responsibility, courage, and cost. And once you understand the bill nobody talks about, you will finally be able to decide whether you are willing to pay it. Chapter 1: The Cost of Comfort. Comfort is seductive. It does not announce itself as danger. It does not look like an enemy. In fact, comfort often arrives disguised as safety, stability, and common sense. It tells you that you have earned rest, that you deserve ease, that staying where you are is reasonable because nothing is technically wrong. Comfort whispers reassurance, while quietly limiting your potential. It does not push you backward, but it slowly prevents you from moving forward. And this is why comfort, is one of the greatest costs you will ever face on the path to success. Growth demands friction. Every meaningful transformation in life is born from resistance, not relaxation. Muscles do not strengthen without strain. Character does not deepen without challenge. Vision does not expand without discomfort. Yet comfort convinces us that growth can happen without disturbance, that progress should feel natural, smooth, and painless. This belief is comforting, but it is also false. Comfort keeps you doing what you already know, repeating what already works just enough to survive but never enough to evolve. It creates a life that is manageable but unremarkable, safe but stagnant. The danger of comfort is not that it feels good. The danger is that it feels normal. Over time, comfort reshapes your standards. You stop asking what is possible and start asking what is convenient. You stop dreaming boldly and start negotiating with your fears. You begin to confuse peace with complacency and stability with fulfillment. Comfort slowly lowers the ceiling of your ambition until you forget that it was ever higher. By the time you realize you are stuck, you have often invested years into a version of life that feels secure but quietly unaligned. Leaving comfort almost always requires leaving familiarity. Familiar routines give structure to your days, but they can also trap your future. The same schedule, the same habits, the same conversations, and the same environment eventually stop challenging you. Familiarity feels efficient because you know how to operate within it, but efficiency is not the same as growth. Growth requires experimentation, risk, and the willingness to look inexperienced again. It asks you to step into rooms where you are not the expert, to try paths that do not come with instructions, and to accept the awkwardness of beginning again. Often the hardest part of leaving comfort is not changing what you do, but changing who you are around. People play a powerful role in reinforcing comfort. Some relationships are built around shared routines, shared limitations, and shared excuses. When you begin to outgrow the version of yourself that these relationships were formed around, tension naturally arises. Growth creates distance not because you want separation, but because alignment has changed. This can feel like loss, betrayal, or guilt. You may be told that you are changing, that you are becoming different, that you are no longer the same person. And they may be right. Growth demands change, and change disrupts familiarity. The environments we stay in also shape how far we believe we can go. Environment influences ambition more than motivation ever will. When you are surrounded by people who settle, settling feels reasonable. When you are immersed in limitation, limitation feels logical. Leaving a familiar environment is not an act of rejection, it is an act of self-respect. It is the acknowledgement that who you are becoming requires more space, more challenge, and more exposure than your current surroundings can offer. This does not mean your past environment was wrong, it simply means it may no longer be sufficient. Uncertainty is the toll booth that stands between comfort and growth. No one steps into the unknown without fear. The fear of instability is deeply human. We are wired to seek predictability, to avoid loss, and to protect what we already have. Uncertainty threatens these instincts. It introduces questions without answers and paths without guarantees. It forces you to act without full information and to trust yourself before the results justify that trust. This is uncomfortable not because it is reckless, but because it removes the illusion of control. The fear of uncertainty often sounds like logic. It tells you to wait until you are more prepared, more confident, more secure. It tells you that now is not the right time, that conditions are not ideal, that you should be grateful for what you have. While gratitude is valuable, it can become a trap when it is used to silence ambition. You can be grateful for your present, while still reaching for a greater future. The problem arises when gratitude is used as a reason to stay small, to avoid risk, and to postpone growth indefinitely. Stability feels responsible, but it is not always fulfilling. Many people build lives that look successful on the surface, but feel hollow underneath. They chose comfort over calling, predictability over purpose, and safety over satisfaction. At first this choice feels wise. Bills are paid. Expectations are met. Life appears orderly. But over time, an unease begins to surface. A quiet dissatisfaction that cannot be explained away. This is the cost of choosing short-term ease over long-term fulfillment. Comfort keeps you comfortable, but it does not keep you inspired. Long-term fulfillment almost always requires short-term discomfort. It asks you to endure periods where effort outweighs reward, where progress is invisible, and where doubt is louder than confidence. Fulfillment is not immediate gratification, it is delayed alignment. It comes from knowing that your actions are connected to your values, that your struggle is purposeful, and that your sacrifices are intentional. Choosing fulfillment means accepting that the road will not always feel good, but trusting that it will eventually feel right. Living without guarantees is one of the most difficult adjustments on the path to success. Comfort thrives on certainty. It promises predictable outcomes and controlled risks. Growth, on the other hand, offers no such assurances. You can do everything right and still face setbacks. You can work relentlessly and still encounter delays. You can believe deeply and still feel lost at times. The absence of guarantees is not a flaw in the journey, it is the journey. Learning to live with uncertainty does not mean eliminating fear, it means learning to move forward despite it. This is where resilience is built. Not in moments of confidence, but in moments of doubt. Not when success feels inevitable, but when it feels uncertain. When you learn to take action without guarantees, you develop a deeper trust in yourself. You stop relying solely on external validation and begin cultivating internal conviction. You learn that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision that something else matters more. Comfort offers protection, but it also limits exposure. Exposure is where learning happens. Exposure is where mistakes are made, lessons are learned, and capacity is expanded. Without exposure, you remain untested. Without being tested, you never discover what you are capable of enduring or achieving. Comfort keeps you safe from failure, but it also keeps you safe from growth. And safety, when prioritized above all else, eventually becomes suffocating. There will be moments on this path when you question whether leaving comfort was worth it. When the familiar looks appealing again. When ease feels tempting and retreat feels rational. These moments do not mean you made the wrong choice. They mean you are stretching beyond what you have known. Growth is disorienting before it becomes empowering. It feels unstable before it becomes solid. The discomfort you experience is not evidence of failure, it is evidence of expansion. Choosing growth over comfort is not a single decision. It is a daily practice. It is choosing discipline over convenience, intention over impulse, and purpose over pleasure. It is repeatedly reminding yourself why you started when quitting would feel easier. It is learning to sit with discomfort without immediately trying to escape it. Over time, discomfort becomes familiar, and fear loses its authority. What once felt impossible begins to feel achievable. Comfort will always be available. It will always invite you back with open arms. Growth, however, requires commitment. It asks you to trade certainty for possibility, ease for expansion, and familiarity for fulfillment. This trade is not easy, but it is meaningful. And meaning is what sustains you when motivation fades. The cost of comfort is not immediately visible, but it is profound. It is the life you could have lived, but did not. The potential you carried but never explored. The impact you were capable of making, but never attempted. Comfort does not rob you overnight, it slowly convinces you that there is no need to reach higher. Growth begins the moment you challenge that belief. As you continue this journey, remember that discomfort is not your enemy. It is your signal that you are moving forward, that you are learning, stretching, and becoming. The cost of comfort is staying the same. The price of growth is uncertainty. And the reward for those willing to pay it is a life that feels fully lived. Chapter 2: Time is the first currency you pay. Before success ever asks for your money, it asks for your time. Quietly, persistently, without negotiation. Time is the first currency required, and it is the only one you can never earn back. You can lose money and make it again. You can fail and recover. You can rebuild reputation, confidence, even relationships. But time moves in one direction only. And success, in its earliest stages, demands a significant portion of it, before offering anything in return. This is where many people hesitate. Not because they lack ambition, but because they underestimate what ambition will cost them in hours, days, and years. We often imagine success as something that will eventually give us time, more freedom, more flexibility, more control. And while that can be true, it is rarely true at the beginning. At the start, success takes time far more than it gives it. It borrows from your evenings, occupies your weekends, and fills the spaces where leisure once lived. It reshapes your calendar before it reshapes your bank account. The early stages of any meaningful pursuit are rarely glamorous. They are built in late nights, when the world is quiet and distractions are minimal. They are formed in early mornings, when discipline has to speak louder than comfort. They are sustained by showing up when no one is watching, applauding, or even aware of what you are building. This is the season where effort feels invisible and progress feels slow. It is also the season that separates those who want success from those who are willing to work for it. Late nights carry a particular weight. They test your commitment when exhaustion clouds your motivation. They ask you to keep going when rest feels deserved. Early mornings, on the other hand, test your priorities. They force a choice between comfort and intention. Each missed hour of sleep, each quiet sacrifice becomes a deposit into a future that does not yet exist. These moments are not heroic on their own. No one hands out awards for discipline practiced in solitude. But over time, these moments compound. They accumulate into skill, resilience, and momentum. Along this path, moments will be missed. This is one of the most difficult truths to accept. While you are chasing a vision, life continues to unfold around you. Gatherings happen without you. Conversations move on. Milestones are celebrated while you are elsewhere, working towards something that cannot yet explain itself. This can create guilt, doubt, and internal conflict. You may question whether the pursuit is selfish, whether the sacrifice is fair, whether the cost is too high. These questions do not mean you are weak. They mean you are human. Opportunity cost is the quiet exchange happening beneath every decision. Every hour spent building one thing is an hour not spent building another. When you choose to invest time in your goals, you are simultaneously choosing not to invest that time elsewhere. This is not loss, it is trade. But it must be an intentional trade. Resentment grows when sacrifices are unconscious. Fulfillment grows when sacrifices are chosen with clarity. Understanding opportunity cost allows you to own your decisions rather than feel victimized by them. Many people struggle not because they lack time, but because they lack direction. Time is constantly being spent, the question is on what? Success requires ruthless prioritization, not out of coldness but out of commitment. You cannot treat everything as equally important, and still expect exceptional results. Some things must temporarily matter less, so that one thing can matter more. This is not neglect, it is focus. Focus is the discipline of saying no to good options in order to say yes to the right one. Ruthless prioritization often feels uncomfortable because it goes against social norms. We are encouraged to be available, responsive, and accommodating. But growth requires boundaries. It requires the courage to protect your time, even when others do not understand why. It requires choosing progress over popularity and purpose over approval. When you prioritize your goals, you are not rejecting others, you are honoring the version of yourself you are trying to become. This does not mean becoming rigid or disconnected. It means becoming intentional. There is a difference between busyness and progress. Many people are busy all the time, yet move nowhere meaningful. True progress requires directing time toward actions that align with long-term vision rather than short-term relief. It requires asking difficult questions about where your hours are going and whether they are building the life you claim to want. Balance is often misunderstood in this context. We are taught to seek perfect balance at all times, as if life can be evenly distributed across every priority simultaneously. But balance is seasonal, not static. There are times when work demands more, and times when rest must take precedence. There are seasons of intense focus, and seasons of recovery. Expecting perfect balance during a growth phase is like expecting harvest during planting. Each stage has its own rhythm, and forcing balance too early can slow progress. Accepting that balance looks different at different stages allows you to release unnecessary guilt. You are not failing at life because one area temporarily requires more attention. You are responding to the demands of the season you are in. What matters is not equal distribution, but intentional alignment. Are you aware of what this season requires? Are you consciously choosing how to spend your time, or are you reacting to pressure and expectation? Time teaches patience in ways nothing else can. It humbles ambition by slowing it down. It forces you to confront your endurance. You learn that wanting something deeply does not speed up the process. You learn that consistency matters more than intensity. You learn that showing up repeatedly, even imperfectly, is what creates momentum. Over time, the discipline of honoring your time builds trust in yourself. You begin to believe in your ability to commit, to follow through, to finish what you start. There will be moments when you wonder if the time investment is worth it. When progress feels minimal and fatigue feels heavy. When others appear to be enjoying life while you are grinding quietly. In these moments, it is important to remember that time invested with intention is never wasted. Even when outcomes are delayed, growth is happening beneath the surface. Skills are forming. Perspective is shifting. Capacity is expanding. You are becoming someone capable of sustaining success when it arrives. Success rarely arrives early, but it arrives prepared. When it does, it often demands even more responsibility. The time you invested before success is what equips you to handle the time success requires after. Without that preparation, success becomes overwhelming rather than liberating. The discipline you build early becomes the foundation for freedom later. The time you paid up front becomes the reason you can afford flexibility in the future. Learning to respect time also means learning to rest wisely. Rest is not the opposite of productivity, it is part of it. Burnout is not a badge of honor. Sustainable success requires renewal. But rest must be intentional, not escapist. It should restore your energy, not distract you from your purpose. Knowing when to pause and when to push is a skill developed through self-awareness and honesty. Time reveals priorities more truthfully than words ever could. What you consistently make time for is what you truly value. If your goals are important, your schedule must reflect that importance. This does not require perfection, but it does require alignment. Each day becomes an opportunity to vote for the future you want, with the hours you spend. Time is the first currency you pay, but it is also the most honest. It exposes hesitation, commitment, discipline, and desire. It does not respond to intention alone, it responds to action. And while it may feel costly in the beginning, time invested with purpose compounds in ways that shortcuts never can. As you continue forward, remember this: success is patient, but it is not passive. It waits for those who are willing to wait with it, work with it, and grow into it. The hours you invest today are shaping the freedom you will experience tomorrow. Pay attention to how you spend your time, because in the end, your time will tell the story of what you truly pursued. Chapter 3: Sacrificing Social Approval. One of the most painful prices of becoming successful is rarely discussed openly: the loss of social approval. Not everyone will understand your ambition, and fewer still will celebrate it while you are still becoming. Approval is comforting. It reassures us that we belong, that we are accepted, that our choices make sense within the familiar rules of our environment. But growth often requires stepping outside those rules, and the moment you do, approval begins to thin. Ambition disrupts expectations. When you decide to want more, to aim higher, or to pursue a path that deviates from what is familiar, you challenge the comfort of those around you. Your growth forces comparison, whether intentional or not. It highlights possibilities others may not want to confront. For some, this creates admiration. For many, it creates discomfort. And discomfort often disguises itself as skepticism, concern, or criticism. Not everyone who questions your ambition is trying to harm you. Some genuinely fear for your stability. Some worry you will fail. Some want to protect you from disappointment. But intention does not erase impact. Constant doubt, even when well-meaning, can slowly erode confidence if you allow it. The problem is not that others do not understand your vision. The problem arises when you begin to require their understanding in order to continue. Growth often demands a painful realization: the people who know you best may not be the ones who believe in you most. Familiarity can limit imagination. Those who have only seen you as you were may struggle to accept who you are becoming. They may hold you to past versions of yourself, reminding you of who you used to be, whenever you attempt to step into something greater. This does not make them villains. It makes them human. But it does mean you must decide whether their perception will define your potential. As you evolve, some relationships will change. This is not betrayal, it is alignment. Relationships are formed around shared values, shared environments, and shared rhythms. When those elements shift, distance can naturally follow. You may find that conversations feel shallow where they once felt deep. That interests no longer overlap. That silence replaces connection. This loss can feel personal, even when it is inevitable. Outgrowing relationships is not a failure of loyalty, it is evidence of growth. Letting go of relationships can be one of the most emotionally challenging aspects of success. There is grief in realizing that not everyone can come with you. There is guilt in choosing your future over familiarity. There is sadness in acknowledging that some bonds were seasonal rather than permanent. These emotions are valid. But holding on to relationships that no longer align can quietly suffocate progress. You are not required to shrink in order to remain connected. Criticism is another cost that grows heavier as ambition becomes visible. The moment you move beyond intention into action, opinions will surface. Some will question your qualifications. Others will mock your dreams. Some will predict failure with confidence, framing their negativity as realism. Criticism often comes not when you are idle, but when you are moving. It is a response to disruption. And while it can be painful, it is also confirmation that you are no longer invisible. Doubt from others can be loud, especially when it echoes your own internal fears. When external skepticism aligns with internal uncertainty, it can feel overwhelming. You may find yourself explaining your choices, defending your direction, and justifying your pace. Over time, this becomes exhausting. You realize that no amount of explanation will satisfy those who are committed to misunderstanding you. This is when discernment becomes essential. Not all feedback deserves equal weight. Not all opinions are informed. And not all voices need access to your vision. Mockery cuts deeper than criticism because it attacks identity, not just ideas. Being laughed at for caring deeply, for trying boldly, for believing in something unseen can make you question your worth. Mockery thrives on vulnerability. It targets effort before results exist. But mockery also reveals insecurity. People rarely mock what they respect, but they often mock what threatens their own sense of possibility. Understanding this does not remove the sting, but it can reduce its power. Loneliness is an unavoidable companion on the path of unconventional thinking. When you choose a direction that few understand, you may find yourself walking without company. This loneliness is not always physical. You can be surrounded by people and still feel unseen. You can be in conversations and still feel disconnected. The loneliness of thinking differently is the loneliness of holding a vision that does not yet have proof. This loneliness can be heavy, especially in moments of doubt. When progress is slow and encouragement is scarce, isolation can amplify fear. You may wonder if you are delusional, if you are wasting time, if you are wrong. These moments are critical. They test not just your resilience, but your relationship with your own intuition. Do you trust yourself when affirmation is absent? Can you continue when belief must be self-sustained? Learning to trust your vision is one of the most important skills you will develop. Vision does not require universal agreement to be valid. Many of history's most impactful achievements were misunderstood at their inception. What matters is not how many people believe in your vision now, but whether you are willing to believe in it long enough to give it a chance to exist. Trusting your vision does not mean ignoring all advice. It means filtering input through self-awareness rather than insecurity. There is a difference between being open-minded and being directionless. Growth requires openness, but it also requires conviction. When you allow every opinion to alter your course, progress becomes impossible. Conviction does not eliminate doubt, it coexists with it. You can question yourself and still move forward. You can feel uncertain and still act with intention. Trusting your vision means committing to it even when confidence fluctuates. Over time, sacrificing social approval builds internal strength. When you no longer rely on external validation, you become freer. You begin to measure success by alignment rather than applause. You stop performing for acceptance and start working toward purpose. This shift is subtle but powerful. It allows you to make decisions based on long-term fulfillment rather than immediate approval. This does not mean isolating yourself or dismissing meaningful relationships. It means choosing connection that supports growth rather than constrains it. It means surrounding yourself, when possible, with people who challenge you, inspire you, and respect your direction even if they do not fully understand it. And when such people are not available, it means learning to be your own source of encouragement. Eventually, something interesting happens. As progress becomes visible, some of the same people who doubted you may begin to applaud you. The mockery softens. The criticism fades. Approval returns, often quietly and without acknowledgement of earlier resistance. This moment can feel validating, but it can also be revealing. It teaches you that approval is often conditional and retrospective. It arrives after results, not before effort. This realization further reinforces the importance of self-trust. But even if approval never comes, the work remains meaningful. The goal was never to be understood by everyone. The goal was to become who you were meant to be. Social approval is comforting, but it is not essential. Purpose sustains you far longer than praise ever could. Sacrificing social approval is not about rejecting others, it is about accepting yourself. It is about honoring your inner voice, even when it speaks softly and stands alone. It is about choosing growth over validation, and truth over popularity. This choice is not easy, but it is transformative. As you continue forward, remember that loneliness does not mean you are lost. It often means you are early. That doubt does not mean you are wrong. It often means you are stretching. And that approval withheld does not mean approval denied. It simply means the story is still being written. Trust your vision. Protect it. Nurture it quietly if you must. The world does not need to understand your journey in order for it to be valid. It only needs you to stay committed long enough to walk it. Chapter 4: The Emotional Toll of Ambition. Ambition is often admired from a distance. It looks confident, driven and purposeful when viewed from the outside. But from within, ambition can feel heavy. It carries emotional weight that few people talk about openly. Behind every goal pursued relentlessly is a quiet internal battle, one marked by anxiety, self-doubt, and the persistent fear of failure. These emotions do not disappear simply because you are determined. In fact, they often grow stronger the more you care. Anxiety frequently arrives as ambition sharpens. When you begin to take your goals seriously, the stakes feel higher. The future starts to matter more. Choices feel heavier. Suddenly, the possibility of failure is no longer abstract, it feels personal. Anxiety asks difficult questions. What if this doesn't work? What if I'm not good enough? What if I invest years of my life and still fall short? These questions can echo loudly in quiet moments, especially when progress is slow and reassurance is scarce. Self-doubt often follows closely behind anxiety. It is the voice that questions your competence, your timing, your worthiness. It compares you to others who seem further ahead, more confident, more accomplished. It reminds you of past mistakes and magnifies current imperfections. Self-doubt does not mean you lack ability. It means you are operating at the edge of your comfort zone. Doubt tends to appear when you are stretching beyond what you have already mastered. It is uncomfortable, but it is also a sign of growth. Fear of failure can be paralyzing if left unchecked. Failure threatens identity as much as outcome. It raises concerns about how you will be perceived, how you will recover, and whether the effort will be justified. The fear is not always about the failure itself, but about what failure might say about you. This fear can lead to hesitation, overthinking, and avoidance. Yet avoiding failure often means avoiding progress. The irony is that the fear meant to protect you can become the very thing that holds you back. As ambition continues, motivation inevitably fluctuates. Motivation is emotional and temporary. It surges when inspiration is high, and fades when effort becomes repetitive. The pressure to keep going when motivation disappears is one of the greatest emotional challenges on the path to success. This is where many people quietly quit, not because they no longer want the outcome, but because the emotional energy to pursue it feels depleted. Discipline steps in where motivation cannot. But discipline is not emotionless. It requires emotional strength to act without excitement, to continue without immediate reward, and to trust the process when enthusiasm is gone. There will be days when progress feels mechanical, when the work feels heavy, and when joy feels distant. These days are not failures. They are part of the rhythm of any long-term pursuit. Expecting constant motivation is unrealistic. Learning to work through its absence is essential. Emotional resilience becomes one of the most important success skills you will ever develop. Resilience is not about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It is about experiencing discomfort without being controlled by it. It is about acknowledging fear without allowing it to dictate your actions. Emotional resilience allows you to feel deeply and still move forward. It creates space between emotion and decision. Resilience is built slowly, through repeated exposure to challenge. Each time you survive disappointment, doubt, or delay, you expand your emotional capacity. You learn that discomfort is temporary and survivable. You begin to trust yourself more, not because things always work out, but because you know you can handle them when they don't. This trust becomes a quiet source of confidence that does not rely on constant success. Burnout is a signal that deserves attention, not shame. Ambition can push you to ignore limits, to equate rest with weakness, and to believe that constant effort is the only path forward. Over time, this mindset can drain creativity, clarity, and joy. Mental fatigue does not always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it creeps in slowly, showing up as irritability, apathy, or a sense of emptiness where excitement once lived. Recognizing these signs early is an act of self-respect. Managing burnout requires honesty. You must be willing to ask whether your pace is sustainable, whether your expectations are realistic, and whether your effort is aligned with your purpose. Rest is not quitting. Pausing is not failure. Recovery is part of progress, not a detour from it. When you rest intentionally, you restore not only your energy but your perspective. You remember why you started. You reconnect with meaning rather than obligation. Mental fatigue can distort perception. When you are exhausted, challenges feel larger and confidence feels smaller. Temporary obstacles can appear permanent. This is why decisions made in moments of extreme fatigue should be treated carefully. Learning to recognize when your mind needs rest is a skill that protects both your ambition and your well-being. Sustainable success is built by those who know when to push and when to recover. Perhaps one of the hardest emotional skills to develop is the ability to sit with discomfort without quitting. Discomfort often triggers urgency. It creates a desire to escape, distract, or abandon what feels difficult. Quitting can feel like relief in the moment. It offers immediate comfort. But long-term regret often follows decisions made solely to escape discomfort. Learning to stay present with discomfort allows it to pass without dictating your choices. Discomfort does not mean you are on the wrong path. Often, it means you are on a meaningful one. Growth stretches emotional boundaries just as it stretches skill and capacity. The discomfort you feel is evidence that something is changing, that you are being challenged to become more than you were before. When you learn to interpret discomfort as information rather than danger, it loses much of its power. This does not mean tolerating unnecessary suffering. There is a difference between productive discomfort and destructive strain. Productive discomfort pushes you to grow while preserving your core values and health. Destructive strain erodes identity and joy. Discernment comes from self-awareness and reflection. Asking why something feels difficult can reveal whether the challenge is serving you or draining you. This awareness allows you to adjust without abandoning your vision. Ambition will test your emotional endurance repeatedly. There will be moments of confidence, followed by moments of doubt. Periods of clarity, followed by confusion. Progress followed by setbacks. These fluctuations are not signs that something is wrong. They are signs that something real is happening. Emotional steadiness does not come from eliminating these cycles, but from learning to navigate them without losing yourself. One of the quiet victories of emotional resilience is the ability to continue gently. Not with force, but with persistence. Not with aggression, but with patience. You learn that strength is not always loud. Sometimes, it is the quiet decision to show up again. To try one more time. To stay present even when results are delayed. This kind of strength builds a foundation that success can rest upon. As you move forward, remember that your emotions are not obstacles to your ambition, they are part of it. They reveal what matters to you. They signal investment and care. The goal is not to eliminate anxiety, doubt, or fear, but to move forward alongside them. To act with courage even when certainty is absent. To remain committed even when motivation fades. Ambition demands emotional courage. It asks you to feel deeply, risk vulnerability, and continue despite uncertainty. This toll is real, but it is also transformative. Each emotional challenge you face strengthens your capacity to hold success when it arrives. You are not weak for feeling the weight of ambition. You are strong for carrying it. Learn to sit with discomfort. Learn to rest without guilt. Learn to continue without constant reassurance. In doing so, you become not just someone who wants success, but someone who can sustain it. Chapter 5: Failure is not optional. Failure is not a detour on the road to success. It is the road. No matter how carefully you plan, how talented you are, or how badly you want it, failure will show up. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. It is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is proof that you are doing something real. Success has an admission price, and failure is part of the fee. Anyone who tells you otherwise is either lying or selling you a fantasy. Most people try to avoid failure at all costs. They delay starting, lower their goals, or stay within what feels safe and familiar. They would rather live with quiet dissatisfaction than risk visible disappointment. But the truth is this: avoiding failure does not protect you from pain. It only guarantees a different kind of pain. The pain of regret, of wondering what might have been, of knowing you played small when you were capable of more. Failure hurts, but stagnation erodes something deeper. Failure is woven into every meaningful achievement. Behind every success story is a long list of attempts that did not work, decisions that backfired, and moments when quitting felt reasonable. These parts are often edited out of the final narrative, leaving the illusion of smooth progress. But smooth progress is the exception, not the rule. The people who succeed are not those who never fail, but those who fail and continue anyway. There is an important distinction between public and private failures. Private failures are the ones no one sees. The late nights where nothing clicks, the ideas that never leave the notebook, the projects abandoned quietly. These failures happen in isolation, and while they can be discouraging, they often feel safer because they are unseen. You can process them internally, without explanation or judgment from others. Public failures feel different. They expose you. They invite opinions, criticism, and sometimes ridicule. A launch that flops. A performance that falls short. A bold announcement, followed by an underwhelming result. Public failure can trigger shame because it feels like your inadequacy is on display. But public failure also requires courage. It means you were willing to be seen trying. And that willingness is a rare and powerful trait. Public failure often teaches lessons that private failure cannot. It builds resilience in the face of external pressure. It forces you to detach your self-worth from applause. It reminds you that your value is not determined by a single outcome. Learning to stand after a visible loss strengthens your emotional spine. It teaches you that embarrassment is survivable, and that judgment fades faster than you think. Rejection is one of the most common forms of failure, and one of the hardest to accept. Rejection feels personal even when it is not. A no can echo loudly in your mind, making you question your ability, your timing, or your worth. It can feel like confirmation of your deepest insecurities. But rejection is often less about you, and more about fit, readiness, or circumstance. It is information, not a verdict. Setbacks can be equally disorienting. Just when momentum builds, something breaks. Progress stalls. Plans unravel. Setbacks remind you that control is limited, and that effort does not guarantee immediate reward. They test patience and adaptability. In these moments, it is easy to interpret delay as defeat. But delay is not denial. Sometimes a setback is a pause meant to refine you, redirect you, or prepare you for something larger. False starts are another quiet form of failure. You begin with enthusiasm, only to realize the path is wrong, incomplete, or unsustainable. Walking away from a false start can feel like failure, especially when time and energy have been invested. But false starts are not wasted. They clarify what does not work, sharpen your understanding, and guide you closer to what does. They are part of the process of discovery. One of the most dangerous mistakes you can make is confusing failure with identity. Failing at something does not make you a failure. Struggling does not mean you are incapable. Falling short does not define your worth. When failure becomes personal, it shrinks your courage. It makes you cautious where you should be bold. Separating who you are from what happened is essential for long-term growth. Your identity must be anchored in effort, values, and resilience, not outcomes. Outcomes fluctuate. They depend on timing, context, and countless variables beyond your control. If your sense of self rises and falls with every result, you will live in emotional chaos. But when your identity is rooted in the decision to keep going, to learn and to adapt, failure loses its power to destroy you. Turning losses into lessons requires intentional reflection. Not every failure teaches its lesson automatically. Some failures simply hurt, unless you choose to examine them honestly. This means resisting the urge to make excuses or assign blame prematurely. It means asking difficult questions about what went wrong, what you could control, and what you might do differently next time. Growth begins where defensiveness ends. Excuses provide temporary comfort, but long-term stagnation. They protect the ego while preventing improvement. Lessons, on the other hand, demand humility. They require you to admit gaps in skill, judgment, or preparation. This admission is not weakness. It is the foundation of mastery. Every refined skill, every breakthrough insight is built on the willingness to learn from what did not work. Failure also develops empathy and depth. It softens arrogance and sharpens compassion. People who have failed understand struggle in a way that theory never can. They listen differently. They lead differently. They appreciate success more deeply because they know the cost. Failure shapes character in ways success alone never could. There is a quiet confidence that comes from surviving repeated failure. You stop fearing it as much because you have evidence that you can endure it. You learn that failure does not end your story unless you let it. This confidence is not loud or boastful. It is steady. It allows you to take calculated risks, to try again, and to remain open even after disappointment. Failure is not optional because growth is not optional if you want success. The path forward requires experimentation, and experimentation guarantees imperfect outcomes. Every attempt is a risk. Every risk carries the possibility of failure. Accepting this reality frees you from unrealistic expectations. It shifts your focus from avoiding failure to using it. When you embrace failure as part of the process, you stop negotiating with fear. You move forward despite uncertainty. You take action without waiting for guarantees. This does not make you reckless, it makes you resilient. It means you understand that progress is messy, and that clarity often comes after action, not before. Success is built by those who are willing to fail forward. Not recklessly, but repeatedly. Not carelessly, but courageously. Each failure refines your approach, sharpens your intuition, and strengthens your resolve. Over time, what once felt devastating becomes manageable. What once stopped you becomes something you step through. Failure will test your patience, your pride, and your persistence. It will challenge your beliefs about yourself and your future. But it will also offer you something invaluable, the chance to grow into someone capable of holding the success you seek. Without failure, success would be shallow and fragile. With it, success becomes earned and enduring. So do not ask how to avoid failure. Ask how to face it well. Ask how to learn faster, recover stronger, and continue wiser. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the price of admission. And for those brave enough to pay it, the rewards go far beyond the outcome. Chapter 6: Discipline over Motivation. Motivation is a powerful spark, but it is a terrible fuel. It arrives suddenly, burns brightly, and disappears just as quickly. In the early stages of any journey, motivation feels like everything. It wakes you up early, keeps you energized, and convinces you that nothing can stop you. But over time, that initial excitement fades. Life intervenes. Challenges multiply. The work becomes heavier and less exciting. This is where many people misunderstand success. They assume that those who succeed are simply more motivated. In reality, they are more disciplined. Motivation is unreliable because it depends on emotion, and emotion is influenced by countless variables beyond your control. Sleep, stress, environment, mood, comparison, and even weather can affect how motivated you feel. If your progress depends on feeling inspired, you will move inconsistently. You will work hard on good days and stall on difficult ones. Inconsistency compounds into stagnation. Discipline, on the other hand, is not emotional. It is a decision made in advance. It allows you to act regardless of how you feel in the moment. Discipline does not mean forcing yourself through misery every day. It means committing to a standard of behavior that aligns with your long-term goals. It means showing up even when enthusiasm is absent. It is the quiet agreement you make with yourself to do the work because it matters, not because it feels good. This agreement becomes a source of strength when motivation fails. One of the most effective ways to build discipline is by creating systems instead of relying on feelings. Systems reduce decision fatigue. They remove the need to constantly negotiate with yourself. When you know what needs to be done and when, you eliminate the emotional debate that drains energy. Systems turn effort into routine. They make progress predictable, rather than dependent on willpower. A system might be as simple as a set time to work, a defined daily output, or a structured environment that supports focus. These systems do not need to be complex. They need to be consistent. Over time, systems create momentum. Momentum reduces resistance. What once felt difficult becomes familiar. Familiarity lowers the emotional cost of action. Doing the work when you don't feel like it is the defining behavior of disciplined people. There will be days when you feel tired, uninspired, or doubtful. Waiting for the perfect mood is a form of procrastination disguised as self-care. The truth is that action often creates motivation, not the other way around. Starting, even imperfectly, can shift your emotional state. Progress, no matter how small, restores confidence. This does not mean ignoring genuine exhaustion or burnout. Discipline includes wisdom. It knows the difference between resistance and depletion. Resistance is emotional discomfort. Depletion is physical or mental fatigue that requires rest. Learning to distinguish between the two protects you from quitting too early or pushing too hard. Discipline is not cruelty. It is commitment, guided by awareness. Boredom is an inevitable companion on the path to mastery. Repetition is not exciting. Doing the same thing again and again can feel monotonous and uninspiring. But boredom is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that you are moving beyond novelty and into depth. Mastery is built in repetition. It is forged in the quiet hours where improvement is incremental and invisible. Most people chase novelty because it feels productive. They start new projects, change directions frequently, and mistake movement for progress. Disciplined individuals understand that depth beats novelty. They stay with the process long enough to refine their skills. They allow boredom to teach patience. Over time, what once felt dull becomes precise, efficient, and powerful. Repetition trains your mind as much as your skill. It builds mental endurance. It teaches you to focus without constant stimulation. In a world addicted to excitement, the ability to work steadily without reward is a competitive advantage. Discipline strengthens this ability. It allows you to remain effective, even when the work is not thrilling. The routines behind exceptional results are rarely glamorous. They are quiet, structured, and often invisible. They do not make for dramatic stories or viral moments. They involve consistent effort, attention to detail, and long periods of unseen work. These routines do not rely on inspiration. They rely on commitment. Exceptional outcomes are the result of ordinary actions repeated consistently over time. There is no shortcut around this truth. Talent may give you a head start, but discipline determines how far you go. Without discipline, talent fades. With discipline, average ability compounds into excellence. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you strengthen your self-belief. You prove that you can rely on your own word. This trust becomes a foundation for confidence. Confidence built on discipline is stable because it is based on evidence, not emotion. When you break promises to yourself repeatedly, motivation erodes. Doubt grows. Discipline reverses this cycle. It restores integrity between intention and action. Over time, you stop questioning whether you will do the work. You simply do it. This simplicity reduces stress and increases focus. The shift from motivation to discipline is a shift from emotion to identity. You stop asking how you feel and start asking who you are becoming. You act in alignment with your values rather than your moods. This alignment creates internal consistency. It allows you to move forward even when external validation is absent. Discipline is not about perfection. Mistakes will happen. Mistakes will occur. What matters is the ability to return without drama or self-punishment. Discipline includes self-forgiveness. It understands that consistency is measured over time, not in isolated moments. Returning to the routine matters more than maintaining an unbroken streak. As discipline becomes habit, effort feels lighter. What once required conscious willpower becomes automatic. Habits carry you forward when motivation is low. They preserve progress during difficult seasons. This is why systems and routines are so powerful. They create stability in an unpredictable world. Discipline also creates freedom. This may sound contradictory, but structure reduces chaos. When your priorities are clear and your actions are consistent, you free mental space. You reduce anxiety. You spend less time deciding and more time doing. This freedom allows creativity and focus to flourish. In the end, motivation may start the journey, but discipline sustains it. Discipline is what carries you through boredom, doubt, and fatigue. It is what turns intention into action and effort into results. The unglamorous routines you commit to today are shaping the outcomes you will experience tomorrow. Choose discipline not because it is easy, but because it is effective. Let it guide you when motivation fades. Let it anchor you when emotions fluctuate. In doing so, you build a foundation strong enough to support the success you seek. Chapter 7: The Financial Risk. Every meaningful pursuit of success carries a financial edge. No matter how carefully you plan, at some point you will be asked to spend money before you feel ready, before the outcome is guaranteed, and often before anyone else believes it makes sense. This is one of the least romanticized but most defining prices of becoming successful. Financial risk does not announce itself loudly. It appears quietly, in decisions that force you to choose between safety and possibility. Investing money before you see returns requires faith in yourself. It asks you to believe that the effort you are putting in now will create value later. This belief can feel fragile when resources are limited and responsibilities are real. Paying for tools, education, equipment, or opportunities without immediate payoff can create anxiety. You may question whether you are being reckless or visionary. The difference is not always obvious in the moment. Most people wait for certainty before they invest. They want proof that something will work before committing resources. But certainty rarely arrives before action. Progress demands a leap. That leap does not mean blind spending or careless decisions. It means informed courage. It means understanding that growth often requires upfront cost. You are planting seeds before the harvest is visible. Living with financial uncertainty tests emotional resilience. Unpredictable income disrupts routine and challenges traditional definitions of stability. Some months feel abundant, others feel tight. This inconsistency can create stress and self-doubt. It can make you question whether the path you chose is sustainable. But uncertainty also sharpens awareness. It forces you to become intentional with money, to track, plan, and prioritize in ways comfort never required. Financial uncertainty teaches you to separate needs from wants. It pushes you to develop discipline, creativity, and resourcefulness. You learn to stretch what you have, to negotiate, to adapt. These skills are not taught in comfort. They are forged in constraint. Over time, they become assets that serve you even when income stabilizes. Betting on yourself when others won't is one of the most isolating aspects of financial risk. Friends and family may not understand why you are choosing uncertainty over security. They may question your decisions or urge you to take a safer path. Their concern may come from love, but it can still sting. Believing in yourself without external validation requires quiet strength. When you invest in yourself, you are making a statement about your future. You are saying that your vision matters enough to support, even when results are not yet visible. This belief builds internal confidence. It shifts your mindset from dependency to ownership. You stop waiting for permission and start taking responsibility for your trajectory. Delayed gratification is an unavoidable companion to financial risk. Immediate comfort is often sacrificed for long-term potential. You may work harder for less money initially. You may forego luxuries or postpone milestones. This can be emotionally challenging in a culture that celebrates instant reward. But delayed gratification strengthens patience and perspective. It teaches you to value progress over appearance. Uneven income can disrupt your sense of security. Without predictable paychecks, planning becomes complex. This instability can amplify fear, especially during slow periods. But uneven income also reflects growth in transition. It often precedes stability, rather than replacing it permanently. Learning to navigate this phase requires both practical planning and emotional composure. Managing financial risk is not about avoiding it entirely. Avoidance limits growth. Instead, it is about understanding and mitigating risk intelligently. This means making informed decisions, diversifying income streams, and preparing for uncertainty. It means knowing your numbers, setting boundaries, and creating buffers where possible. Risk becomes manageable when it is respected rather than ignored. Financial risk also develops humility. It reminds you that success is not owed. It encourages gratitude for progress, no matter how small. Each step forward feels earned. Each milestone feels meaningful. This humility keeps ambition grounded and prevents entitlement. There will be moments when financial pressure feels overwhelming, when doubt creeps in and fear questions your resolve. In these moments, it is important to remember why you started. Not every decision will pay off immediately. Not every investment will yield the expected return. But each experience adds knowledge. Each challenge refines judgment. Financial risk teaches you to think long-term. It shifts focus from short-term comfort to sustainable growth. You learn to evaluate opportunities based on alignment rather than impulse. You become strategic rather than reactive. This mindset supports not only financial success but personal growth. Choosing financial risk does not mean rejecting security forever. It means redefining it. True security comes from adaptability, skill, and confidence in your ability to recover. When you trust yourself to navigate uncertainty, fear loses its grip. You realize that stability is not the absence of risk, but the ability to handle it. Success often requires temporary imbalance. Periods of financial strain can precede breakthroughs. What matters is persistence and learning. Each decision sharpens your understanding. Each setback informs your next move. Over time, risk transforms from threat to tool. The willingness to face financial uncertainty sets you apart. It reflects belief in your potential and commitment to your vision. While others wait for perfect conditions, you move forward with calculated courage. This willingness is rare. It is also powerful. Financial risk is not reckless when guided by purpose and preparation. It is a vote of confidence in your future self. It says that you are willing to endure discomfort now for growth later. This choice builds resilience, independence, and self-trust. As you continue, remember that managing risk is a skill. It improves with experience. Each challenge strengthens your capacity to make wiser decisions. Each success reinforces your belief. Financial risk is not an enemy to be feared, but a teacher to be respected. The path to success is not free of uncertainty. But within that uncertainty lies opportunity. By learning to manage financial risk rather than avoid it, you equip yourself to move forward with confidence. You are not gambling blindly. You are investing intentionally. And that investment, made with courage and clarity, is one of the boldest steps toward the life you are building. Chapter 8: Identity Shifts and Inner Conflict. Success does not only change what you have, it changes who you are. Long before the external rewards arrive, an internal transformation begins. This transformation is often quiet, uncomfortable, and deeply confusing. As you grow, you may start to feel unfamiliar to yourself. The thoughts you once held, the habits you once defended, and the limits you once accepted begin to dissolve. This is not a sign of losing yourself. It is a sign that you are becoming more of who you are capable of being. Becoming someone your old self would not recognize can feel unsettling. There is comfort in familiarity, even when that familiarity is limiting. Your old routines, beliefs, and identities once kept you safe. They helped you make sense of the world. As you evolve, those same structures may begin to feel restrictive. Letting them go can feel like betrayal, not only of others, but of the person you used to be. You may wonder whether growth means abandoning authenticity. In truth, growth reveals layers of authenticity that were previously unreachable. Outgrowing old beliefs is rarely dramatic. It happens gradually, through experience and reflection. Beliefs that once felt solid begin to feel incomplete. You may realize that some of the stories you told yourself were shaped by fear rather than truth. Perhaps you believed you were not good with money, not suited for leadership, or not deserving of certain opportunities. As evidence accumulates that contradicts these beliefs, tension arises. The mind resists change, even positive change, because it disrupts certainty. Habits, too, evolve with identity. The behaviors that supported an earlier version of you may no longer align with who you are becoming. This can create internal conflict. You may feel torn between old comforts and new commitments. Choosing growth often means choosing discomfort in the short term. It means releasing habits that once soothed you but now hold you back. This release is not about punishment. It is about alignment. Imposter syndrome often intensifies as you reach higher levels. Contrary to popular belief, it does not disappear with success. In fact, it can grow stronger. When you enter rooms you once dreamed of, surrounded by people you admire, doubt can surface. You may question whether you belong, whether you are truly qualified, whether someone will eventually discover that you are not as capable as you appear. These thoughts are common, especially among those who are pushing boundaries. Imposter syndrome thrives in moments of expansion. It is the mind's attempt to reconcile new responsibility with an old self-image. If you still see yourself as the person you used to be, growth can feel like an illusion. But imposter syndrome does not mean you are a fraud. It means you are stretching beyond familiar territory. It is a signal that you are learning in real time. Letting go of who you were is one of the most difficult aspects of personal evolution. Identity is deeply personal. It is tied to memory, relationships, and self-perception. Releasing old identities can feel like loss. You may grieve the simplicity of earlier versions of yourself. You may miss the ease of lower expectations. But holding on to an outdated identity limits growth. You cannot become who you need to be while clinging tightly to who you were. This transition requires compassion. You do not need to reject your past self. That version of you did the best they could, with the information and resources available at the time. Honoring that effort allows you to move forward without resentment. Growth is not a rejection of your past, it is a continuation of it. Each version of you builds upon the last. Redefining self-worth beyond outcomes is essential as identity shifts. When success becomes a central focus, it is easy to tie worth to achievement. Wins feel validating, losses feel personal. This fluctuation creates emotional instability. True self-worth must exist independently of outcomes. It must be rooted in values, effort, and integrity, rather than external validation. When self-worth is tied solely to results, identity becomes fragile. Every setback threatens confidence. Every comparison undermines peace. By anchoring self-worth in who you are becoming rather than what you achieve, you create stability. You learn to appreciate progress, even when results are delayed. You respect yourself for showing up, for learning, for adapting. Inner conflict is a natural companion to growth. Competing desires pull you in different directions. One part of you seeks comfort, another seeks expansion. This tension can feel exhausting. But it is also a sign of alignment forming. Conflict arises when old patterns and new intentions collide. Resolving this conflict requires patience and honesty. Listening to your inner conflict, without letting it control you, is a skill. It involves acknowledging fear, without surrendering to it. It involves questioning doubt, without dismissing intuition. Over time, clarity emerges. You begin to recognize which voices serve growth, and which protect stagnation. This discernment strengthens confidence. As identity evolves, relationships may shift. People who once related to you easily may struggle to understand your new priorities. This can create distance. It can also create space for connections that align more closely with who you are becoming. While change can be painful, it is also necessary. You are allowed to evolve, even if it disrupts familiarity. Becoming someone new does not mean becoming someone else. It means integrating new experiences, insights and capacities into your sense of self. This integration takes time. It requires reflection and courage. You may feel uncertain at times, as if you are between versions. This in-between space is not failure. It is transition. The more you grow, the more you will be challenged to update your self-image. Allow yourself to see who you are now, not who you were. Celebrate growth without guilt. Accept success without apology. You have earned your progress through effort and persistence. Identity shifts are not linear. There will be moments of confidence, followed by doubt. Periods of clarity, followed by confusion. These cycles are part of becoming. Trust that each phase contributes to your development. You are not lost, you are unfolding. As you continue, remember that inner conflict does not mean something is wrong. It means something important is changing. Lean into that change with curiosity rather than fear. Let go of outdated identities with gratitude. Embrace the person you are becoming with intention. Success demands internal evolution. It asks you to expand your self-concept and redefine your worth. This process is challenging, but it is also empowering. By allowing your identity to grow alongside your ambitions, you create a life that reflects not just what you achieve, but who you are. Chapter 9: Success changes how you're treated. Success is not just a milestone, it is a mirror. It reflects the way the world perceives you, the way people respond to you, and often the way they define you. There is a certain magic in achieving a goal, in hitting that target you once thought unreachable. But with that magic comes a shift, subtle at first, then unmistakably clear. Success changes how you are treated, how you are seen, and sometimes how you feel about yourself. This chapter is about navigating that shift, understanding it, and thriving despite it. When you rise, people notice. Suddenly, your opinions carry weight they didn't before. Your time becomes more valuable. The very air around you seems charged with expectation. But the change in how you're treated is not always celebratory. Some people will greet your success with genuine joy, clapping their hands and smiling as if they were there with you every step of the way. But others will respond with envy, suspicion, and a subtle recalibration of their behavior toward you. Envy is a peculiar creature. It doesn't always announce itself boldly. Often it lurks in the corners of conversations, in the half smiles, in the slightly colder greetings. People you thought were indifferent may suddenly find reasons to question your motives. Friends who celebrated your hard work might begin to test your generosity, your patience, your humility. This isn't necessarily malicious. Often it is subconscious. They see your achievements and, through the lens of their own insecurities, project expectations onto you. If they can do it, why can't I? They think. And in that question, the seed of judgment is planted. Expectations, both subtle and overt, can weigh heavily on those who have reached a new level. As you rise, people assume you have mastered life itself, that your every decision is now flawless, that your energy is infinite. They forget, or never knew, that success is not a destination but a journey, often paved with struggle, doubt, and countless missteps. Suddenly, the world is no longer rooting for you to grow, it is watching to see if you will falter. And falter, at some point, you inevitably will. Because you are human. And humans make mistakes. Being misunderstood is one of the loneliest aspects of success. People see the trophy, the promotion, the accolades, but they do not always see the late nights, the sacrifices, the moments of self-doubt, the tears hidden in the silence of your own room. They hear your words and interpret them through a lens colored by envy or expectation. Your victories can be minimized, twisted, or questioned. Did they really earn it, someone may ask. Was it just luck? Others may assume that you have changed, that you are now different in ways that align with their discomfort, rather than acknowledging the same person who worked tirelessly to reach this point. Pressure is a constant companion to success. Once you've proven yourself, the world expects you to keep proving yourself. There is an invisible standard, an unspoken bar that rises with every achievement. It whispers you must do more, be more, give more. It is the quiet weight of maintaining your status, of living up to the vision people have of you, rather than the reality of your own journey. This pressure can be exhilarating when harnessed as fuel, but it can also be suffocating if it becomes the measure of your self-worth. One of the most painful lessons that success teaches is clarity about relationships. You begin to see who is genuinely with you for who you are, and who is there because of what you have become. It is a sobering, sometimes heartbreaking revelation. People who once called you a friend may fade into the background, uncomfortable with the new dynamic. Others may cling to you not for your heart, your humor, or your loyalty, but for your accomplishments and the doors they can open. This is not betrayal, it is human nature. Not everyone can separate admiration from self-interest. Learning to navigate this shift requires a different kind of courage than achieving the success itself. It requires emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and resilience. It requires understanding that not all relationships are meant to last, and that some people's reactions to your success say more about them than about you. It is an exercise in discernment, in valuing depth over proximity, in cherishing the voices that cheer for your growth rather than merely bask in your shine. There is also a subtle danger in letting the world's perception of you dictate your own self-image. When people project their envy, their expectations, their judgments, it can be tempting to internalize them, to allow their doubts to become your own. The trick is to remain rooted in the truth of your journey. Remember the late nights, the sacrifices, the grit it took to climb. Remember that your worth is not measured by applause, by approval, or by how easily others can accept your rise. True self-assurance comes from knowing that your effort, your intention, and your integrity are unshakable, regardless of external validation. Success changes how you are treated, but it does not have to change who you are. The key lies in perspective. You can choose to view envy as a warning, not a weapon, expectations as a challenge, not a cage, misunderstanding as a signal, not a condemnation. Every glance of doubt, every question of your motives, every whisper of disbelief is an opportunity to practice grace, patience, and steadfastness. Each encounter tests the depth of your character, and each response shapes the legacy you leave, not just of what you accomplished but of how you carried yourself while achieving it. Learning to protect your energy becomes essential. Boundaries are no longer optional, they are vital. The world will inevitably demand more than you can give, sometimes politely, sometimes not. It is not selfish to say no, it is necessary. It is not arrogance to prioritize your peace, it is wisdom. Recognizing that some relationships thrive on authenticity, while others thrive on convenience, allows you to invest your time and love where it truly matters. It is in these choices that you discover the people who are with you for the right reasons, the ones who celebrate your victories and still hold your hand when you stumble. There is also power in humility after success. Being grounded, approachable, and authentic amidst achievement is magnetic. It draws the right kind of people closer, and sends the wrong kind away without confrontation. Humility does not mean shrinking from your accomplishments. It means understanding that success is a tool, not a crown. It means showing gratitude to those who supported you along the way, without allowing their voices to define your worth. It means remaining teachable, even when the world assumes you know everything. Another hidden challenge is the temptation to overcompensate. When treated differently, either with envy or expectation, it can be tempting to overperform to prove that you are still worthy, still human, still relatable. This is a trap. Success is not a performance to satisfy the projections of others. It is a reflection of your dedication, your vision, your ability to persevere. Overcompensation drains energy and obscures the joy of achievement. The real triumph is maintaining balance, integrity, and authenticity in the face of changing perceptions. Ironically, the very success that isolates can also illuminate. It strips away superficial connections and reveals who truly belongs in your life. Those who genuinely care about you, your growth, and your happiness will stand firm, offering support and celebrating alongside you without envy or expectation. These relationships are rare but precious. They are the ones that make the journey worthwhile, not because they elevate your status, but because they honor your humanity. They remind you that, at the end of the day, the value of success is not in the applause it draws, but in the quality of the relationships it sustains. In navigating the shifting landscape of success, you will encounter discomfort, surprise, and sometimes betrayal. These experiences are not signs that you were wrong to pursue your dreams. Rather, they are signs that you are moving forward, stepping into a life that demands courage, discernment, and resilience. Each challenge, each misperception, each altered relationship is a chance to refine your understanding of yourself and the world around you. It is an invitation to align more closely with your values, to cherish authenticity over approval, and to celebrate growth over recognition. Ultimately, success changes how you are treated, but it does not have to change your inner compass. You can navigate envy with grace, expectations with confidence, misunderstandings with patience, and pressure with determination. You can discern who is truly with you, for who you are, and let go of those who are not. And in doing so, you will not only thrive in your achievements, but also preserve your peace, your integrity, and your joy. Success is transformative, not only in what you accomplish, but in how you learn to move through the world. It teaches that victory is not measured solely by the accolades you earn, but by the wisdom you gain, the boundaries you set, and the relationships you nurture. It reminds you that the road is yours to walk, regardless of the shadows or applause cast by those around you. Embrace success, but do not be defined by the way others respond to it. Stand tall in your truth, walk with courage in your convictions, and treasure the voices that cheer for your heart as much as your achievements. Success will change how you are treated, but it does not have to change the essence of who you are. And in that realization you will find not just victory but freedom, clarity, and an unshakable sense of self. Chapter 10. Paying the price without losing yourself. There is a cost to every dream, a toll that must be paid in time, effort, and resilience. Success is not free, it asks for focus, dedication, and sacrifice. But in the pursuit of achievement, there lies a quiet danger, the danger of losing yourself along the way. Many have walked this path, driven by ambition, fueled by passion, only to discover that the higher they climbed, the further they drifted from the essence of who they truly are. Paying the price for success is inevitable, but paying it without losing yourself is a choice, a deliberate act of self-preservation, courage, and wisdom. Recognizing when the cost becomes too high is the first and most crucial step. The world often glorifies sacrifice, presenting long hours, endless work, and constant struggle as badges of honor. There is a romanticism to this narrative, as if suffering were synonymous with greatness. But the truth is harsher yet liberating. No level of success is worth your health, your values, or your sense of purpose. If the pursuit of achievement drains you of joy, isolates you from the people you love, or makes you compromise the principles that define you, it is time to pause and reassess. Too often, people push past warning signs, mistaking exhaustion for determination, stress for commitment. Recognizing the point at which the cost outweighs the reward is not weakness, it is strength. It is the courage to protect the most valuable asset you will ever possess, yourself. Boundaries become your most powerful tool in this journey. Pursuing excellence does not mean surrendering to the demands of everyone else. Excellence is about consistency, focus, and intention, but it must be balanced with self-respect. Saying no is not failure. Declining tasks, stepping back from overcommitment, and reserving time for rest are acts of strategic preservation. They are investments, not indulgences. A clear boundary is a declaration that your energy, time, and values are non-negotiable. Without it, the pursuit of success becomes a dangerous treadmill where achievement is fleeting and fulfillment is forever postponed. Protecting your health, both mental and physical, is non-negotiable. Too often, in the pursuit of a goal, people trade sleep for deadlines, nourishment for convenience, and mental peace for relentless productivity. Yet health is the foundation on which all success rests. Without it, every accomplishment loses its luster. When your body falters, your mind fatigues, or your spirit wanes, no trophy, no title, no accolade can sustain you. True success integrates self-care, acknowledging that energy is finite and replenishment is essential. The act of prioritizing wellness is not indulgent, it is strategic. It ensures that you can continue the pursuit, not at the expense of yourself, but in harmony with the life you want to lead. Values and purpose are the compass that guides the decisions you make along the way. In the heat of ambition, it is easy to become blinded by external markers of achievement, money, recognition, influence, forgetting why the journey matters in the first place. When choices arise that compromise your integrity, when shortcuts tempt you with immediate gains, pause and reflect. Ask yourself whether this action aligns with who you want to be. Success without adherence to your values is hollow. It may bring external reward, but it erodes the foundation of self-respect and authentic fulfillment. Protecting your values is not a constraint on ambition, it is the very definition of meaningful success. Success without self-destruction is not only possible, it is the ultimate triumph. It requires conscious design, intentional pacing, and steadfast commitment to yourself. The world may push for relentless speed, for more, for now, for anything that screams achievement, but the most enduring success comes to those who balance drive with mindfulness. It is the leader who inspires without burning out, the entrepreneur who innovates without compromising their integrity, the artist who creates without sacrificing joy. These individuals understand that life is a marathon, not a sprint, and that greatness is measured not only by accomplishments, but by the quality of the life lived along the way. Designing a version of success that you can live with is a deeply personal process. There is no universal template. Some may dream of wealth and influence, others of quiet mastery or artistic expression. The key is defining success on your own terms, informed by your values, your priorities, and your limitations. It is the version of success that allows you to wake up with purpose, that nourishes your relationships, that honors your health, and that leaves space for joy and reflection. It is the recognition that life's richness is measured not only by milestones but by moments, the laughter shared with loved ones, the quiet victories of discipline, the satisfaction of work that resonates with your soul. This design requires clarity and courage. Clarity to know what truly matters, to distinguish between what is essential and what is noise. Courage to resist the pull of comparison, the pressure to conform, the expectation that your life must mirror someone else's vision of achievement. The world will always have opinions on what you should pursue, what sacrifices you should make, and how far you should climb. But your life is yours alone. The version of success that allows you to thrive, not just survive, is built on your terms, anchored in your priorities and fueled by your unique definition of purpose. There will be moments when the tension between ambition and preservation feels unbearable. You may face criticism for setting boundaries, misunderstanding for prioritizing self-care, or skepticism for refusing to chase success at all costs. These moments are tests, not punishments. They are invitations to reaffirm your commitment to yourself, to trust your instincts, and to hold fast to the knowledge that integrity and well-being are non-negotiable. The approval of the world is fleeting, but the peace of alignment with yourself is enduring. Resilience is cultivated not only through achievement, but through preservation. Those who succeed without losing themselves develop a depth of character that outlasts recognition, accolades, and fame. They learn to navigate pressure with poise, to embrace ambition without surrendering to it, and to honor both their dreams and their humanity. They understand that life's ultimate reward is not a title or a paycheck, but the ability to live fully, authentically, and with intention. This balance between striving and safeguarding requires constant attention. There will be seasons when work demands more, when goals push you to the edge, and when sacrifices feel unavoidable. But even in these moments, small acts of preservation, pausing to breathe, honoring a commitment to rest, refusing a compromise on core values, become lifelines. They are reminders that success is not a price to be paid at the cost of your soul, but a journey to be lived with presence, wisdom, and integrity. It is important to recognize the difference between temporary discomfort and destructive cost. Growth is rarely painless. The path to excellence involves challenge, discomfort, and sometimes intense effort. These are necessary elements of mastery and achievement. But discomfort that erodes your health, damages your relationships, or forces you to betray your principles is no longer growth, it is self-destruction. Distinguishing between the two is essential, and it is only possible through reflection, self-awareness, and unwavering commitment to yourself. Your life, your health, your integrity, these are the most precious currencies you possess. You cannot trade them for ambition without consequence. Every decision, every choice, every sacrifice should be weighed not only against potential reward, but against the impact on your well-being, your relationships, and your sense of self. Success that diminishes you is no success at all. Success that nourishes you is transformative. It is a source of strength, joy, and freedom, enabling you to give your best to the world without losing touch with the best of yourself. Ultimately, paying the price without losing yourself is about ownership. Ownership of your time, your energy, your choices, and your boundaries. It is about acknowledging that the path of ambition need not be a path of self-neglect. It is about redefining achievement in a way that integrates life, health, and values, creating a version of success that is sustainable, fulfilling, and deeply personal. In this approach, every step toward your dreams becomes not a cost to endure but an investment in a life that matters. As you reflect on your journey, remember that it is not the world's applause that defines success, but the harmony between ambition and authenticity, between achievement and integrity, between striving and living. Each choice to honor yourself, each boundary set, each act of self-care, each moment of alignment with your values, is a step toward a version of success you can live with. These choices may seem small in the moment, but they accumulate into a life that is resilient, joyful, and meaningful. In the pursuit of your goals, the world will challenge you, pressure you, and demand more than you may feel able to give. But the greatest measure of success is not how much you produce or how high you climb. It is how fully, authentically, and joyfully you live along the way. Paying the price does not have to mean losing yourself. It can mean mastering the art of balance, protecting the essence of who you are, and creating a life where achievement enhances rather than diminishes your well-being. This is the ultimate triumph: to achieve without compromise, to grow without destruction, and to succeed without losing sight of what matters most. It is a path that requires courage, discipline, and intentionality. It is a journey that invites you to define success on your terms, guard your values fiercely, honor your health relentlessly, and cultivate joy unapologetically. When you walk this path, every achievement becomes more than a milestone. It becomes a celebration of resilience, integrity, and the unshakable truth that you can chase greatness without surrendering the life you were meant to live. To pay the price without losing yourself is to reclaim agency over your life. It is a declaration that your dreams are worthy, your limits are valid, and your essence is sacred. It is the understanding that the pursuit of excellence does not require the sacrifice of your soul, but the embrace of your humanity. This is the success worth striving for, the life worth living, and the legacy that endures long after accolades fade. Conclusion: is the price worth it? Success is a journey, a pursuit, a calling that demands more than ambition. It asks for your time, your energy, your courage, and often a part of your soul. But the question that lingers at the end of every path, no matter how bright it seems, is this: is the price worth it? To answer this question, we must pause, reflect, and confront the realities that most people avoid. It is easy to admire someone's achievements from a distance, to envy their lifestyle, their influence, or their wealth, without truly understanding what it cost to arrive there. Behind every visible triumph lies a landscape of sacrifice, struggle, and decisions that shaped not only the outcome, but the person who earned it. Reflecting honestly on what success demands is both humbling and enlightening. Success is not merely a reward for talent or intelligence. It is the consequence of consistent action, unwavering discipline, and often difficult choices that test character and resolve. It may require long hours when others are resting, the discipline to stay committed when motivation wanes, and the courage to make unpopular decisions in pursuit of long-term goals. It may require putting aside comfort, leisure, and even relationships, at least temporarily, to align fully with your vision. This reflection is not meant to intimidate, rather, it is meant to illuminate the path, to make you conscious of what lies ahead, and to prepare you to make choices that honor both your ambition and your humanity. The price of success is not universal, it is different for everyone. For one person, it may mean leaving a stable job to chase a dream. For another, it may mean enduring public scrutiny, criticism, and pressure to perform at a level few can maintain. For some, it involves time away from loved ones. For others, it involves an unrelenting inner struggle to master self-doubt and fear. There is no single formula, no standard ledger of sacrifices that applies equally to all. Each person's journey demands a personal accounting, a careful assessment of what is essential, what is negotiable, and what is non-negotiable. Recognizing this truth is liberating. It means you do not have to compare your journey to others, and it means you can measure your sacrifices against your values rather than the world's expectations. Choosing consciously, rather than blindly chasing outcomes, is a hallmark of true wisdom. Too often, people pursue success as if it were a prize at the end of a maze, without pausing to consider whether the prize aligns with their values or serves their deeper purpose. They run faster, sacrifice more, and endure greater strain, only to arrive at a destination that feels hollow or misaligned with who they are. Conscious choice flips this dynamic. It empowers you to decide which battles are worth fighting, which sacrifices are justified, and which dreams resonate deeply with your heart. Conscious choice requires reflection, courage, and honesty. It asks you to confront your motivations, to discern between desire and societal pressure, and to act with intention rather than inertia. Redefining success on your own terms is a liberating, transformative act. Society often sells a one-size-fits-all image of achievement, a corner office, a large paycheck, recognition, and influence. While these may be indicators of success for some, they are not universal truths. True success is deeply personal. It is the alignment between what you achieve and who you are. It is a life where accomplishment and authenticity coexist, where ambition does not erode your joy, and where recognition is a byproduct, not the goal. Redefining success means asking yourself what matters most, listening to the quiet voice within that speaks beyond external applause, and crafting a vision that honors both your goals and your well-being. The reflection does not end with definition, it extends into timing. One of the most critical lessons is this: you do not pay the price after success, you pay it before. The sacrifices, the discipline, the hard work, the tough decisions, and the boundaries are all part of the journey toward achievement. Waiting until the spotlight shines to reconcile with these demands is too late. Success arrives only for those who have prepared for it, who have endured the trials, and who have remained steadfast in their commitment long before recognition comes. This understanding reframes how we view effort. It is not a burden to endure for a future reward, it is the very medium through which success is created. Understanding the price also cultivates gratitude and humility. When you recognize the effort and perseverance that underlie every achievement, the accolades become richer, more meaningful. Gratitude flows not only toward those who supported you along the way, but also toward yourself, for the resilience you displayed, the challenges you overcame, and the courage you summoned in moments of doubt. Humility arises naturally when you acknowledge that success is never solitary. Every mentor, every supporter, every nudge of encouragement contributed to your journey. Yet at the same time, you learn that the greatest responsibility lies within yourself, in the choices you make each day that shape your trajectory and define the life you will lead. The price of success is also a measure of growth. Every long hour, every uncomfortable decision, every moment of persistence against adversity, is an opportunity to become more disciplined, more resilient, and more capable. Success is not only about reaching a goal, it is about the person you become in the process. If the journey strips you of your character, your relationships, or your joy, the price is too high. If it strengthens your values, deepens your empathy, and builds your inner fortitude, the price is an investment that multiplies over a lifetime. This perspective allows you to approach ambition not as a merciless transaction, but as a transformative process that shapes both outcome and character. Yet, acknowledging the price also demands courage to say no to opportunities that misalign with your values, to commitments that threaten your health, to paths that would lead to achievement at the cost of your integrity. Saying no is an act of self-respect, a declaration that your well-being and principles are more important than fleeting recognition or external validation. It requires trust in your judgment and confidence that the right opportunities, aligned with your purpose, will present themselves. In this way, the conscious refusal to overextend yourself is not a limitation, but a strategic choice that ensures long-term fulfillment and sustainable success. The journey toward meaningful achievement is never linear. There will be setbacks, failures, and moments of doubt. There will be times when the cost feels unbearable, when the sacrifices seem endless, and when the temptation to abandon your path looms large. These are the moments that define not only the journey, but the person undertaking it. Persistence in the face of adversity is the currency of success. It is the repeated choice to continue, to adapt, and to persevere without losing sight of who you are or what you value. These moments test not only your skill but your character, and they offer the deepest lessons about the price and worth of your ambitions. Success also teaches patience. It reminds us that achievement is not always immediate, and that the most rewarding outcomes often require sustained effort over time. The price of reaching your goals is rarely instant gratification. It is discipline, endurance, and unwavering commitment. Yet, this discipline does not require the sacrifice of self. It requires the integration of ambition with balance, intensity with reflection, and work with well-being. Patience allows you to honor the process, to celebrate incremental victories, and to recognize that meaningful success is rarely the product of haste, but of consistent, deliberate action aligned with purpose. Another critical aspect of evaluating the price is the recognition that it is not static. Life evolves, priorities shift, and what once seemed worth every sacrifice may later feel unsustainable or misaligned. Continual reflection is essential. Periodically reassessing what you are willing to endure, what you value most, and how your ambitions intersect with your life ensures that you remain in alignment with your deepest goals. Success is dynamic, it grows, changes, and adapts as you do. To navigate it successfully, you must remain vigilant, intentional, and conscious of both the costs and rewards as they evolve over time. At its core, the question, is the price worth it, is not about success itself but about alignment. It is about living a life that reflects your principles, nourishes your relationships, and preserves your well-being while pursuing your goals. It is about choosing a path that allows you to grow, achieve, and thrive without compromising the essence of who you are. When success is pursued with clarity, intention, and self-awareness, the price transforms from a burden into an investment, one that yields not only achievement but also resilience, fulfillment, and a life of purpose. Finally, understanding the price teaches a profound lesson. The journey itself is the most significant reward. Every choice, every struggle, every act of discipline contributes to the person you are becoming. Success is not a destination to reach at all costs. It is a reflection of the balance you strike between ambition and authenticity, effort and preservation, desire and values. The price is never a punishment. It is the medium through which growth, mastery, and meaningful achievement are realized. The question of worth is answered not in hindsight alone, but in the daily decisions you make, the alignment you maintain, and the integrity with which you pursue your dreams. In conclusion, the price of success is real, inevitable, and deeply personal. It demands reflection, courage, and deliberate choice. It is different for everyone, measured not only in effort, but in what we are willing to protect: our health, our values, our purpose, and our sense of self. The conscious pursuit of achievement, balanced with mindfulness and self-respect, allows us to pay the price without surrendering who we are. Remember always, you do not pay the price after success, you pay it before. Every hour invested, every sacrifice made, every boundary set, every moment of discipline, and every act of integrity contributes to the life you will lead and the legacy you will leave. The ultimate answer to whether the price is worth it is found not in trophies, titles, or recognition, but in alignment. Alignment with your values, alignment with your purpose, and alignment with your authentic self. When you honor yourself in the pursuit of your dreams, when you balance ambition with preservation, when you choose consciously rather than blindly chase outcomes, the price becomes not a burden but a testament to your courage, character, and resilience. It is the price of a life lived fully, a life of meaning, and a life where success does not demand a sacrifice of self, but a celebration of it. Thank you for reading this book. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to leave us a review. TM Light. Disclaimer. This book was created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. While every effort was made to ensure the accuracy and relevance of the content, readers should note that this cannot be considered professional advice. Readers are encouraged to apply their own judgment and consult experts where needed.